Okay, so this is the second part of Lesson 7. Page 53. We are going to do the top three together, and I'm going to do the bottom three. We're dealing with percentages over 100%. We had one of those in the last video, but we'll get to it more here. So check out these three examples first. I'm going to do these all with proportions because I like that better. So because I'm doing the video, that's what I'm doing. So the first one, 30 is what percent? Percent over 100. The 30 is with is on top of 20. Cross multiply and solve, and we end up with x is 150. What do you need to remember? Percent. It's automatically 150% because we used proportions and it was over 100. In the second one, what amount is 110%? Ooh, I see percent. I automatically put it over 100. Now, what amount is? Is on top of 55, so that goes on the bottom. And I come up with an answer after I cross multiply and divide, and I should get 60.5. Last but not least, 250%, percent over 100 of what number? Of's on the bottom, is 25. Cross multiply, do some math, dance a little jig, and you get a value of 10. All right, at the bottom, page 53, there are 5 questions. Go ahead and do those now, and then come back and check your answers. All right, here on the bottom page, 150% is over of, and we end up with an x value of 300. 125%, 75 is of what number? X comes out to be 60. And 230% of what number is for 60? X is 200. All right, so the two little story problems here. Concert tickets are 125% of what they used to be. They used to be $30. How much are they now? Okay, so start with the percent. And think about what that means. 125% of what they used to be. So the denominator is what they used to be. So when you think about they used to be 30, the 30 goes on the bottom. Now is on top, right? Now they're 125%. So when you think of it that way, now we have our proportion, we can cross multiply, and we come up with the fact that these tickets are now $37.50. Okay, in 15. You should get 2,000, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have enough room to type it all. You are getting 2,600 calories. What percent are you consuming from what you should be? Okay, the key word is what percent. So x over 100. Now, 100% is like the baseline, right? That's what you should be doing. Okay, well, I should be getting 2,000 calories. So 2,000 should go on the bottom, but the top is what I'm actually doing. I'm actually consuming 2,600. So when I cross multiply, I notice that I'm consuming 130% of what I actually should be, right? And you can think about it. You should know if you should do 2,000 and you're doing 2,600, right? That's more than the total. So you are consuming more than 100% of what you're supposed to be doing. So, okay, let's go to page 54 and these story problems. Okay, and more paraphrasing. So you look at the top of page 54 and you see this, did you know a single droplet of sneeze contains 200 million germs? But the hand sanitizer kills 99.9% of germs. So how many germs are left? Well, okay, so let's think about it. If you have hand sanitizer that kills 99.9%, that means 0.1% are left, right? And percent goes over 100. So I took the 100% of all the germs and I subtracted the 99.9 that are out, and that's how I got how much that are left. We know, part of a whole, we started with 200 million germs. 200 million means 6, so I'm going to add 6 more zeros to that. Cross multiply. When you cross multiply, this is so kind of gross, you get 200,000 germs. So while that hand sanitizer really is great, I mean, it killed 199,800,000 germs, but you still have 200,000 germs left, so gross. All right. 17. You made a purchase in the state of Maine for $74. And we're charged $3.70 in sales tax. What is the sales tax rate in Maine? Well, the sales tax rate is the percent, right? So we're trying to find the percent of sales tax. You know the total cost was $74 and the sales tax is on the top. So that tells you the percent of the sales tax. So you go ahead, cross multiply, you will come up with 5%. Did I tell you that you should stop and try to do all these problems first? Well, if I didn't, stop, try to do all these problems first. Great, wonderful. 18. According to the U.S. Census, the total number of households in the state of Indiana is big. The number of households with at least one resident who is 65 years or older is 593,718. What percent of Indiana households have at least one resident who is 65 years of age or older? So, we're trying to find percent. Percent is over 100. Now, part to whole. The total is the 2,478,846, and the part is the 593,718. Try to make it bigger than what it was. So, part to whole. Cross multiply, and we end up with 23.95%. That's how many households in Indiana have at least one person who I would consider to be an oldie because they're 65 or older. All right, let's continue on. All right, so number 19, dealing with that same information. 24.7% of the big number of Indiana peeps claim German ancestry. How many of these peeps claim it? Well, we start with percent, and we know the percent goes over 100. Now, that 6,454,254 people, hey, that's the total. Total goes on the bottom. So that top number is going to tell us how many people claim German ancestry, and the answer is 1,594,201 if you round to the nearest person. All right. Now 20 I find to be just a little bit confusing. So we've got 4,229,138 residents that are 25 years and older. What percent of these people have a degree? If this number has an associate's, that number has a bachelor's, and a different number have a bigger degree. So your first step is to take your three groups and add them together, because we need to find the total degrees. So when you add those together, you get 1,298,043. All right? And that's part. Here is the whole. So we're trying to find the percent. We don't know the percent, but we know the part is 1298043 over the total, which is 4,229,138. So when you cross multiply and divide, you end up with 30.69% of Indiana residents 25 years and older have some type of degree. All right, next page. 21. Your salary is $30,000, and you hear that your CEO makes 325% as much as you. How much does the CEO make? Well, let's start with the percent. 325%. Percent always goes over 100. Now let's think about this. You make $30,000. The CEO makes 325% as much as you. Who's on the top? Who's on the bottom? The CEO or you? Well, the CEO is making more. So the CEO's on the top. You are on the bottom. Cross multiply, and you are now depressed because you find out that your CEO brings home $97,500 compared to your $30,000. But my guess is they have more stress. Number 22. Your gross pay for the month is $1,800, and $396 was taken out in taxes. What percent of your gross pay is taken out in taxes? Okay, what percent? Percent over 100. Okay, now part to whole. Gross pay. How much do you total? Total gross is $1,800, so that goes on the bottom. $396 is on the top. Do a little bit of cross multiplication and division, and we find out that 22% of your gross pay is taken out in taxes. 23. Jen says she has $575 taken out of her gross pay in taxes each month. If 23% of her gross pay is withheld in taxes, how much does Jen earn each month? In the packet it says make. If Jennifer's making her own money, we have issues because that is totally illegal. So we're going to pretend that she's earning money. Okay, so we have a percent over 100, and she has $575 taken out. Is that part of her gross pay or all of her gross pay? Oh my gosh, it's part, right? Because part is taken out in taxes. So let's do a little math. and we find out that Jen earns $2,500 a month. And 24, let's buy a car. If you buy a car in the state of Indiana, you pay 7% sales tax. Dalton bought a car and paid $910 in sales tax. How much did he pay for the car? Again, let's start with the percent. Okay, now he paid $910 in sales tax. Is that everything he paid or part of what he paid? Well, it's part, right? So we'll find out by doing this how much he paid total for the car. Cross, multiply, divide, and Dalton paid $13,000 for his car. The last part of this, page 56 and 57, is Excel help. So if you working through that, go ahead and check out those pages. I'm not going to do anything with those on here, so that is the end of lesson 7.